Hello and welcome to Product Popcorn, the podcast that explores topics related to product management. Most of the time. We talk with product managers and also designers and engineers that work on product teams, and only sometimes discuss the possibility of artificial intelligence taking over the world. You can always read more at productpopcorn.com. This week on the podcast, our guest is Kyle Wilding. Kyle is a full-stack engineer, and we've worked together for a few years now at 2 different companies. Kyle's worked on all sorts of product teams, and he's managed front-end and back-end development teams, which makes him a great guest for this episode, our first ever listener questions and advice. This week, we're answering listener questions and giving out advice for product managers and really anyone else who works on a product team. If you have a question you'd like answered in a future advice episode, you can email me at kimberly@productpopcorn.com. Hey everybody, welcome to Product Popcorn. I'm Kimberly and I'm a product manager.
I'm Adam and I am a professional horse whisperer.
Adam's a front-end developer.
I'm a front-end developer.
We think. I'm not sure anymore.
I pretend to be a front-end developer for a living.
We have Kyle Wilding on the podcast today.
Hi.
We're going to intro him in a second. We're going to ask you really embarrassing personal questions, but wait for it.
Mainly social security number.
Yeah, just that.
It's the mother's maiden name.
We heard that you have a lot of money to steal, so we're
I'm gonna say it right on this podcast. Totally lifelock myself.
Yes, I was just about to do that. That dude that had his he put his social security number on a moving billboard in New York City.
It didn't work out so well.
No, somebody stole his identity, so don't do it. We are doing our first ever advice episode today.
I'm really sorry.
We just want to say we're not experts, so take our advice.
Speak for yourself.
Well,
Yeah, I'm an expert.
okay, we're all experts.
We're self-proclaimed experts.
But I have a bunch of listener questions, and I'm really excited. So, Kyle's a developer also. He's a backend developer. Adam's a developer. And then we have me, product manager. It's going to be great advice from all angles.
I also whisper to horses.
Yes. And we don't have any specific questions about horse whispering.
Oh, we have a dog here. I could whisper to this dog.
You could whisper to the dog.
Yeah, in case you hear like bone munching, it's not me.
None of us are eating.
It's me.
It's Kyle.
God, it can't take you anywhere. All right, I just have a couple items that I have to follow up on from past episodes. First off, we mentioned The Boring Company a few episodes back. I think it was on the product game, and I wasn't entirely sure like why Elon Musk named his new company The Boring Company. So just wanted to follow up on that I Googled it for about 2.5 minutes today. And there's like some...
Not long, huh?
Yeah, I know. It took me a really long time to get to the bottom of it. There's like a Twitter rant from him from 2016, and he's like ranting about traffic and how much he hates it. And he's like, I'm going to start a company to fix this, and I'm going to call it the Boring Company because this is a boring problem, and I'm going to build tunnels.
He really said that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's literally...
Well, the other choice is to do what I did and leave freaking Los Angeles.
Also good.
It's just going to take you 5 hours to get out of the city. You got to be dedicated.
5 hours out of Los Angeles, 17 to Denver.
Yeah,
There you go.
Exactly. So anyway, I just want to follow up on that. Also, shout out to India. In the Bitcoin episode, I had an Indian listener email me because I had mentioned... You know, everybody that listens to this podcast is American, so we're talking about U.S. dollars, and he emailed me. He's like, hey, no. And then I looked, and we actually have, like, a significant amount of listeners in India. So shout out to India.
We
love you guys. We love you. I think that's it. So, Kyle, I have 3 very quick, very important questions for you. Don't mess it up, okay?
No pressure.
Bundt cake flavors. Pecan praline or double chocolate?
Or double pecan praline.
No, that's not
Or
one.
chocolate praline.
How about whatever you used to buy with My American Express
At Charter?
at a former company?
We're very sorry, former company we used to work for.
No,
that
sorry, not sorry. Not
Bundt cake budget got a little out of hand.
Hey, those were the golden days of Charter Spectrum development, you know?
There's no such thing as an out-of-hand bundt cake budget.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, they're only like $35. Like, keep your employees happy.
To To be fair, to answer your question, I will go out on a limb and say pecan.
Oh.
Yes, correct answer.
I would say praline
Pecan.
as well.
Pecan praline, yeah.
That wasn't directed towards me, but I'm going to answer anyway.
We should get Everything Bundt Cakes to sponsor us. Everything Bundt Cakes, come on. We're like big fans.
They're delicious.
They are delicious.
We used to be your main customer.
We basically kept your tech center location open.
We will never use your product again. Sponsor us.
Those are our demands.
Question 2. What is the minimum amount of money that you would accept to shave your entire beard and mustache?
0.
Wow, that's very cheap.
As in, literally, like, divide by 0. It's not going to happen.
Like, no amount of money is enough, is what he's saying.
No, in fact, I was watching the playoffs last night, and it kind of dawned on me in my drunken stupor watching the Yankees beat the Astros that no one on the Yankees has a beard. And that
is weird.
No, it's actually not weird because I looked it up on a whim, and there has actually been a Yankees team policy since the 1970s instituted by Steinbrenner that you cannot have a beard on the Yankees.
What?
And the thought occurred to me, like, if I was a baseball player, like, how could you turn down playing for a storied franchise like the Yankees? And I was like, hell with you, I'm going to play for the Marlins. There's no way.
It's like the opposite.
It's not going to happen.
It's like the opposite of Colorado, where I think one of their stipulations is that you have to have a beard.
Yeah.
Some weird facial hair.
And a dog.
No, the last time I shaved, I was 19 years old, and my college roommate looked at me and he said, "You look like an asshole." And 16 years of beard later.
I would shave my beard for $10 million for probably a while.
You would shave your beard for like $50. I could be like, Adam, here's $50. You'd be like, where's a razor?
No, if it was a one time, like, seriously, I am such a strange looking person without a beard. I would say a one time beard shave fee, I would do it for like $15,000.
Oh.
I don't like the third question. We're going to skip it. So
really?
you only get 2.
You can ask me the third question if you want.
It's not very funny.
Oh.
We'll go on to Acronomicon.
Oh, geez. I've got to think of something.
You don't know what it is yet.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
That's my thing.
Okay. It's because Kyle and I currently work on a suite of APIs. I thought we would do API. Do you even know what API stands for?
Yes. It stands for...
I have to say that I probably wrote a half dozen APIs before I actually knew what it was.
A personal... What's a good I word?
I don't know. It's your job.
I.
Yes.
A personal I.
That is incorrect.
Wow.
Damn.
I've worked with APIs for so long, and I was like, I'm not entirely sure.
It's the thing that you get stuff from, and then you do stuff with that. Yeah.
Application program interface.
I thought the pros called it appies.
No,
No?
who has ever said that?
I always say appies. Like, what's wrong with all of our appies?
That's definitely if you came to me in an interview, like that's
we would not hire you.
That's a 5-minute interview right there.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you're an idiot. Go away.
We're done here.
Oh my gosh. For any novice product managers, APIs are just like the way that applications talk to each other, for lack of better terms. So you'd like write an API and it kind of defines the rules of like how an outside piece of software can talk to your application. Is that kind of...
Well, there's a lot more to it than that. I mean,
obviously,
one of the
simplified version. I don't know.
If you have even the most basic startup company has a bunch of data in their database, and you don't want your website to be directly interfacing with your database layer for a myriad of security reasons. And so you write this piece of software that sits in the middle, and your website front-end application will interface with your API, which gathers data out of your database and returns it back. So another way to think about it is a piece of middleware that returns stuff that your web client, which by nature is probably pretty insecure. It's hard to secure a front end. You certainly don't want your front end to be directly interfacing with the database because any random dude can look at your your code on your website is public to view. You can look at it anytime you want.
Yeah.
And even if someone can't look directly at your database code, they'll be able to see your queries from your front end if you don't have an API sitting in between.
Yeah, so
Secure that shit.
be careful how you build your appies.
Never say appy. Just advice number one, just never say that.
Yeah, number one. If you learn anything from this podcast.
I'm sticking with appy.
Oh my goodness. So much better definition from Kyle. See, this is why we have you
That
here.
was beautiful.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to advice now. Are you guys ready for advice?
My advice is be careful how you take my advice.
Yeah, my advice is don't listen to Adam at all.
That's just in general, about everything. Not even about advice.
We're gonna do a warm-up game, and it's called Which is Better.
Yes.
So these are like really, I'm gonna give you two things, and you have to tell me which is preferable.
Bundt cake.
Well, that's not.
Pecan praline.
Yes, we've already defined that pecan praline is by far the best everything bundt cake flavor that exists. We know that, but these are more like work related.
Oh,
not
okay.
that bundt cake isn't work related.
Yeah, I'm
if you
gonna
have
say
a
we
job,
have that
you
at
should
work.
be eating bundt cake at the job.
Wait, we're going to talk about work?
Well, I mean, a little. I don't know. It depends on where you guys take it, I guess. All right,
Way away from work.
this is kind of like a work episode of Would You Rather.
Okay, let's do
Okay.
it.
Would you
It's getting
rather?
really dark.
Yep, murder. That's what I would rather. Oh, wait.
Shit on your boss's desk? Yes.
That's pretty much the top level every time.
What would you do if your employees did that to you, Kyle? You are a boss. Be careful.
He just quietly shook his head. He doesn't even know.
Too far. Too soon. All right. Would you rather have, at a job, would you rather have free catered food all the time or great health insurance?
Oh, God. I have a child.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer.
So Shutterstock's New York office actually has free catered food every day.
I thought you did too.
No, we voted to not do that because we didn't want everyday mediocre food. We'd rather have.
Oh.
We would rather have on. Well, now it's moved to Thursdays. Thursday is like good food, one day a week for free. Because when I'm in New York and the culture is so different there, like you don't take a lunch break. You're eating your lunch in meetings, and I'm like, dear God, that sounds terrible.
They either don't eat or they like have to eat.
That's like
at their desk.
That's
It's depressing.
Kimberly, that's kind of like a Silicon Valley question. You know what I mean? Like, if you have 3 random hipsters in someone's basement, would I rather have health insurance or food?
You're right.
Definitely food.
I just like a lot of startups when they're like free catered food, and I'm like, I mean, how important is that really? Like, I can bring my food, but I need like freaking health insurance.
If the
you know?
company hasn't had revenue for 8 months, probably food.
Maybe just pay me,
just
and
take-
I'll
yeah.
just figure out my own food situation.
Totally.
All right, here's a more serious. Here's a thinker. Right, this one.
Okay.
Would you rather have $40,000 more dollars in your base salary, or 25? Or I'm sorry, I got this wrong. $40,000 more in as part of your annual bonus, or $25,000 more base salary.
It would be entirely dependent. I mean, I would say base salary because first of all, bonuses are ephemeral. They could pull a bonus anytime that they wanted to, right? And second, the tax implications of a bonus probably, depending on how good your tax guy or gal, might actually equal out, right?
Yeah.
A lot of alpacas. You need the alpaca write-offs. What is it? Like there's a lot of, tax. That's a good way to funnel your taxes into alpacas.
That's so random.
Just use alpacas.
Nobody take that advice. Do not.
Investing into animals.
I think I read this in Warren Buffett's book.
Right.
Which is
Warren Buffett, friend of the pod.
which is all about alpacas is the name of the book, and he just talks about investing in alpacas and using that as a tax shelter.
Sure.
a great example of advice you don't want to take, listeners.
I bet you
don't invest in alpacas.
I bet you anything that there are many alpaca-related tax laws on the books, like
I'm sure.
farm subsidies is serious business.
Yeah, see, it's good.
All
it's good
right.
advice. That's all of my advice is going to be alpaca related.
You know,
maybe.
to heck with the Fortune 12 tech stock. Like, who gives a crap about that?
Boom, alpacas.
Yeah, I'm gonna divest my ass.
You know what?
In fact, I'm gonna take every piece of
Taking my whole bonus, buying alpacas.
Why am I even on this podcast? Why aren't I like?
Your boss
Why
is
aren't
like,
I on E-Trade right now?
your boss is like, we were gonna give you a $40,000 bonus, but we decided to give you 2 alpacas instead. They are blue
Sold.
ribbon.
Sold.
Blue ribbon alpacas, top notch. I think so. Back to your
Sell, Kimberly.
I'm just over here drinking my vodka quietly.
40 minutes later, after we're done talking about alpacas,
Alpacas are a product.
they are a product.
Everything's a product.
Next
We just
episode.
offended all your vegan listeners. I'm really sorry.
Oh, sorry. We're shaving the alpacas for the wool. We're not killing them to eat them.
Yeah, you kill them and you shave. Wait, no, you leave them alive and you shave
red
them.
pandas too.
I'm sorry.
We do not eat red pandas or alpacas on this podcast.
Sorry,
just to
Steve.
clarify.
Okay. So your question was like 40,000 bonus or 25 base salary.
Yes.
My problem is that I'm only at a place for like about a year.
Is that like double your salary?
What? So,
Adam's like, I make $10,000 a year. So you heard these sound great.
Yes.
Yeah. So the average time currently for a developer to stay in one job in Denver is 18 months.
so that's what makes that question hard.
I know. That's why it's like, would you rather, or I could up it. Would you rather take 50,000 bonus or 25 base, whatever it is?
I'd take the 50 over the 40.
I read always take the base salary. It's like gives you more leverage.
Oh, for
with
later?
negotiating your
I mean,
next.
we knew plenty of people that walked away from
Yes.
their bonus that was coming within 30 days
Unbelievable.
for many different
Yeah.
reasons.
It's just a tricky situation. Anyway, just something to think about.
Yep, next question.
Do one more.
Yep.
Would you rather have a difficult and mean yet competent boss or a nice yet incompetent boss?
I'm gonna say, honestly, I would take the nice. You know what? It depends. This is very situational. I kind of would rather have the nice boss because it's mainly on him if like shit goes down, right? I mean, it's like I can make sure that I cover myself so that I don't seem incompetent. But if he's incompetent and nice and bearable, that's better. But
Incompetent all the way. Because at the end of the day, I am not incompetent, right? Like,
yes,
Yeah.
see?
So there's a couple advantages here. First of all, if you're getting your stuff done, even though your boss is incompetent, there's only so bad that you could look,
Yeah.
I guess, to your boss's boss. And I've been in this situation before where I had a boss that maybe not incompetent, but certainly indifferent.
Maybe
And-
incontinent?
Oh my God, Adam.
I don't know. It depends. Ooh, like the adult diapers. That's where I was going with
It's a
that.
great joke. It's a great
Yeah.
joke. Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks for that. Anyway,
You've had an indifferent boss though before.
yeah, and
Past lives.
ultimately, if you're good at what you do, you would always prefer that because eventually, if your company is not completely out to lunch, you're going to get their job.
Yeah, that's kind
also
of
a
what
good
I was
point.
thinking.
Whereas
Yeah.
if you have someone that's an a-hole that is really good, they could be there forever, and
Yeah.
we've seen that too.
And then you have like the perpetual asshole.
Kyle and I are really lucky. Our bosses are really good right now.
I don't think I have a boss right now.
That's always a good place to be.
Maybe it's alpacas.
You're the boss, Adam.
You're the boss.
I'm my own
You're the
boss at my
master of your
alpaca farm.
You're the master of your destiny.
All right, we're gonna dole out some serious advice. Okay, I've got some.
This hasn't been serious yet.
Well,
I was pretty
not-
serious this
So
whole
far,
time.
all I've got is invest in alpacas and like
Pecan
work
praline.
for somebody
Wait,
in
wait.
pecan praline.
How do you
yeah.
pronounce alpacas?
Alpaca? Alpaca?
What do you
We're
say?
gonna have to edit like the last 30 minutes out.
You can say alpaca.
I say alpaca.
Yeah, because you're from Texas.
Yeehaw.
Tejas.
Tejas.
That's what they say.
All right. We're going for number 1. Are you ready? Number 1, first question. So this is a serious question. All right, prepare yourselves.
Okay, scene.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Listener says, didn't identify location, so I don't know where, but I assume somewhere in the United States.
It could be India too.
It could be India, but I think that this listener, I'm almost certain, is in the United States.
Okay.
I work for a big tech company, and I really like my job and my team. I do have an internal opportunity to move to a different team, but within the same company. I like everyone on that team, on the potential new team, but the manager, there's something I just don't like about him. He doesn't seem authentic. It leads me not to trust him. He just seems fake. Others on his team have said he is hard to work for. The move would mean a promotion and more money, but I'm worried to move to a team where my manager isn't the best when I have a really great manager right now. What do I do?
Don't do it.
Yep.
Absolutely not. At least where we are in Colorado, and I think in any hotbed of tech in the United States, Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, New York, I mean, pretty much anywhere, Atlanta, moving to a new job will get you, on average, 25% more money than you make at your current job. And a lateral move, maybe not even a lateral move, but even an internal move within a company, they are never going to give you the same amount of a raise that you would get if you were a good negotiator at a new job. Never. Yeah. And if you have any doubts about, you're going to be working with the manager day in and day out, and that's by far the most important thing. I would rather have a good manager and a team of total whack jobs that I never wanted to make eye contact with. I would rather have that than a terrible manager.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
They do say that your manager is your number 1 factor of happiness at work.
Yeah.
Which I found, like, this was on, I think it was like a LinkedIn article that I read, that they had done a study about what makes you happiest at your job, like what makes happy employees, and who you report to and your relationship with that person is the number 1 factor.
I've had both scenarios. I've had a manager that I could deal with, but wasn't great, and a team that worked for me that was awesome. And then I've had the opposite situation where my boss is amazing, and maybe not everyone, but some of the people that I worked with were they were characters in not a fun way, and I would take manager every day of the week.
Yeah.
Well, the manager, like, you can deal with your coworkers, but the manager is like can affect your progression in the company and can affect your actual future. So that's kind of scary. So
Yeah,
you can
your
also-
manager's determining your bonus and your salary and your progression, your promotions, like.
You can also slowly poison your coworkers.
delicious bundt cakes.
Despise. Okay. Second question.
Yep.
This is somewhat related, so this is a good segue.
Okay.
I have this person is in Denver, so very familiar with the job market here, so we should be able to answer this.
It's Kimberly. She's right.
It's me. I wrote it anonymously. I have a serious complex that I'm being underpaid. I can't even read this now.
This is Kimberly.
It's not me. I have a serious complex that I'm being underpaid. I work in downtown Denver, and I hear all these stories of devs making tons of money, what I find to be absurd amounts of money. How do I know if I'm making a fair salary for my title and responsibility?
Is this person a dev?
This person is a developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, developers don't make absurd amount of money. They could always pay us more.
Oh, God.
That's my first advice.
Yeah, I mean, can you do it?
Yeah.
That's one. The people that are paying you, can they do it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
He's
No.
saying, can the people that are paying you, can they do
The
what
people
you
that
do?
are writing checks to you, they can't do it.
Yeah.
So write me a bigger
Yeah.
check. Well, that's a
Yeah.
almost impossible question to answer without a lot of context, right?
Yeah.
It's context that in a professional company, you're probably never really going to have.
Well, how do you check that you're making what you think is a fair salary, or are you just constantly asking for more?
You talk to recruiters.
Yeah, that's
the
one
simple.
way.
That's the simple answer. I mean, try to find a recruiter that has a full-time opportunity with a reputable company, and see how much they're offering. That's pretty much all. And it does not hurt. I mean, throughout my career, I've worked pretty hard to maintain good relationships with recruiters that aren't complete, that maybe know what an API is, right?
Yeah.
And
Good old appies.
I don't talk to them regularly, but you maintain LinkedIn network, and honestly, like, it doesn't ever hurt to engage a company or a recruiter once every couple years and just see what the market is, because in the last 5 years in Denver,
Oh my God, it's changed so drastically.
To expand on Kyle's thing is that, like, honestly, as a developer, I feel like 95% of my LinkedIn connections are probably recruiters.
Yeah, I think it actually kind of ties into the last question, like you said. Like, seriously, every job that you get should be a 20% pay increase minimum. And if you're not out, if you're really paranoid about your salary, start exploring. And if you aren't completely irresponsible about it, you may be shocked.
And I would say also, just obviously, there's Glassdoor, there's PayScale. I don't know ever how accurate those ones are.
I think Glassdoor is generally, from my recent experience, has been a little bit undervalued.
I find that too.
So just keep that in mind if you're looking at Glassdoor. Is like, it's probably like slightly under market.
Also,
I would say.
if you're in the tech industry and you're not on Blind, get on Blind.
What?
It's a new app. Sorry. Adam's like, oh.
Get blind?
Is that about alpacas?
No, it's not
I'm
about
all about the
alpacas.
alpacas.
Is that a duck hunting app?
Blind is a new app, and you have to authenticate. You have to work for a tech company, so you have to authenticate against your work email address.
Okay.
So you have to have like a Facebook or a Twitter or a Google or an Oracle address to like authenticate against. But once you're on there, everybody is anonymous. It just shows your username, so you can make your username whatever you want, and then you can ask questions. They have company-specific rooms in there, and people are asking, I'm at this level, what do you make in this city? And like 7 people will respond, so you know
So
the
it's like
exact range.
4chan, but for professionals.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just a good resource. I don't know. I've been kind of looking around on there recently.
That's fair.
All right. Okay, this is another really hard one.
Okay.
Number 3. So I got 2 different listener questions that were very similar, so I'm just going to kind of mold them into one question. So this has to do, how do we deal with changing roadmaps or changing requirements? So the product manager says, I'm constantly dealing with changing requirements. Management keeps changing the roadmap, and then I'm responsible for communicating those changes down to my engineering teams. Oftentimes, I don't even know about the changes until the very last minute, which means that we're missing our sprint deadlines, and I'm not really sure how to deal with this. First off, how do you deal with the changes? And secondly, how do you communicate to your developers that it's management that's kind of changing this roadmap without throwing them under the bus, so that they don't blame you and hate you?
Step 1, throw them like deeply under the bus, like just like back and forth right over them.
Well, this type of stuff ends up becoming systemic within a lot of organizations, right?
Yeah.
This is an ingrained problem that you may not be able to fix for a lot of reasons that are external to your product team. So my first question is, how long are your sprints, right? If you, and you may not be in control of that, but if you are working with a development team that is constantly being asked to adjust its roadmap based on external pressures, you need to sit down with the development manager and figure out how to reduce the length of your sprints to be able to accommodate this reality. You're not going to be able to change an upper management team that shifts direction and pivots constantly. You're just not.
It's true. Kyle and I have tried.
Let it go. Let it go right now and mold your team around this fact. Because if management is pivoting and your sprints are 1 or 2 weeks, you don't have to even sit down with your development team and break some bad news to them, right? You sit down with them and you say, well, next sprint we're doing this instead of this. Who cares? It's in the next sprint.
It's true.
Exactly.
And if you have a healthy backlog of features that have been discussed, theorized, postulated about for the future, and if you're keyed into what management is thinking, even in the medium term, you've already got stories ready to go that you can slot into your next sprint. And this, I guess what I'm saying is this should really not be a problem in a well-run organization.
It's true. I mean, if you're running any type of agile, you should be able to accommodate change.
It's just going to happen
pretty quickly. Yeah,
they're the ones. I mean, the way I always think of it is they're the ones writing the checks. And if this is causing chaos in the short term, that's job security.
Yeah.
But in the medium term, you need to adapt to that, and you're not going to change some VP's like weird vision that changes every couple weeks. Yeah. At the end of the day, if you and your team honestly believe that the pivoting is detrimental to the future of the company, like if you're at a startup and it's serious enough to the point where you think this company's going down the tubes, then find another job. But if you're at a big company and there's just kind of like chaos at the top, or maybe they just have too many ideas and they reprioritize all the time because there's too much stuff to do, you kind of need to accommodate for that.
It's happened literally in every single place I've ever worked. That
it's just a reality.
It's just a reality of our business. There's just constant change, and you need to be able to adapt to it. I totally agree.
So the agile methodology, the answer to that is having reasonable sprint lengths.
I mean, if you have
like
2
1
week
to 2 week sprints, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you're running Scrumban or Kanban and you have 1 to 2 week sprints, and VP comes and says, we need to reprioritize, we need this to be done. Okay, new sprint starts next week. Well, at the latest, right? It's first, you move it up in the backlog, you're running Kanban, and then it's next in line.
A lot of time
you accommodate that change.
A lot of time the VP's not even going to know what a sprint is, right?
No, but you don't have to tell him that. You just say,
point.
We'll start working on it right away. Right away is next week.
Exactly, that's my point. They think, a lot of times they'll think in terms of months, like, it'll be done in November.
Yep.
Okay, no problem. No.
You don't need to explain the specifics to them. Just say when it'll be finished, and 2 week sprints are key. I think you can accommodate any last minute change if you're running 2 week sprints because you're always releasing.
Just maybe put like a question mark at the end of that. Like if it may be done in November.
Now,
upward inflection.
One caveat is if you work at a game development studio, everything I just said doesn't apply. Stay up till 2 a.m. and fix that shit. I want to patch on Steam tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Good one. Okay, I really want to get your guys' take on this since, Kyle, you manage people, you interview a lot of people. I think you interview a lot of people at Shutterstock. And I don't interview engineers as much as I do product people. So this is from a female engineer in the Valley.
Oh, Valley girl.
Valley girl,
like San Fernando Valley?
Yes. No. San Francisco.
Okay, I grew up in San Fernando Valley.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. There's only
Not
one.
That valley.
There's only one valley. Oh my God.
She says, I'm a female engineer interviewing for my dream job next week. I've been told not to wear a dress to any interviews as it's too feminine. Guys, what's your honest take on if you had to interview a woman for an engineering role and she was wearing like a professional dress? Does that look like I'm trying too hard? Should I just go for jeans and a t-shirt? This is really hard because it's really hard to dress for an interview as a woman, I feel like. And I'm always wondering, like, what are the guys honestly thinking about what I'm wearing?
I can tell you from personal experience, whenever I wear a dress, it's a terrible response.
You are just full of great jokes tonight.
Thank you. I will tell you from my perception, I don't care if you're wearing a pantsuit or if you're wearing whatever. I think that just the idea of you wanting to present yourself professionally is fine.
But let's say you're at Shutterstock and you're with, 5 dudes on your engineering team and you're hiring a new front-end developer. Girl comes in, she's in like a skirt suit, like a full professional like dress. Are you going to feel, I know all you guys wear t-shirts, jeans, and sneakers like every day.
Yeah.
Are you going to feel weird about that?
Generally, for men or women, don't care, right? But I mean, I will say,
because when I interviewed at the company that shall remain nameless, where we both currently work, I asked you because you already worked there, and you said, "Don't wear a suit; it's too much."
I did?
Yep.
Huh.
And so I switched it up, and I was like black jeans, silk shirt, and like I looked professional. But I remember I purposefully strayed from wearing the skirt suit because you were like, it's just too much. Our office isn't that formal.
Honestly,
well, our office is certainly about as informal as it gets. Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know. Like, I've interviewed dozens of female developer candidates, and I can't remember one that actually wore a dress.
Yeah.
But I mean, most of them definitely come in look like doing their best Hillary Clinton impersonation. But I just don't care. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I've really actually only known one female developer that ever wore a dress to work at all.
Yeah.
But nobody cared. I mean, nobody cared about that either. So I don't know. I mean, the honest answer is what you wear. It would only be bad if it was distracting. And the problem for a woman is what's distracting depends on how big of a pig the man or woman interviewing you is, right? So that's a really hard question to answer. For guys, it's cut and dry.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a standard. It's done. I mean, my honest opinion is just I wouldn't really try that hard. I don't know.
So we're thinking too hard about this, maybe.
Yeah, you should honestly, when it comes down to it, wear what makes you feel most comfortable.
Yeah.
That is professional, so that you are yourself.
Blow the interviewer's mind on your technical portion.
Yeah.
And nobody is gonna. I mean, at a company. Let me put it this way: at a company you want to work at.
Yeah.
Nobody is gonna care if you're not a complete goober. Once you waste that technical interview, just like dust it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's gonna care after that.
Fun story. Do you remember this, Adam? Kyle, I don't know if you're still at Charter when this happened, but we had a candidate come in interviewing for an engineering position. He got the job, and then he shows up for day one in flip-flops. And they say, you can't wear flip-flops here. You have to wear, like, shoes. And he was like, I don't have shoes. I only have flip-flops.
Awesome.
And he literally, he goes, see ya, and he walks out. He was here for like 20 minutes. That was it.
He literally
Never saw him again.
He literally said, well, that's a deal breaker.
That's like the most first world problem I've ever heard in my entire life.
I know.
I did interview a candidate that at Charter that came in, and this was from a recruiter, by the way.
Yeah.
Which means that they actually met this person and actually had a conversation with them, and then recommended them to me, of all people. And I'm an asshole. And so this guy comes in, and he comes in and he's wearing just a white t-shirt and jeans, which honestly, like, even at Charter, I might have looked past if he was a rock star. But he had a tattoo on his neck, and this tattoo was very interesting. It was a very large tattoo of a vagina.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not witness this, and I am still angry about it. Somebody should have come to get me immediately.
Neck tattoo.
Yeah.
Kim, yeah, we have a product owner that we really want to meet.
You gotta admire him for trying. Even at like he made a life decision early.
Yeah.
And he really stuck with it.
You know what? My professional advice...
No turtleneck.
I know. Like, you need to Steve Jobs that shit. Like, get the turtleneck out for that. So, really,
We're like, oh.
I guess, ladies, the advice is, like, we're thinking too hard about it. And these dudes, they just don't care.
We want you to absolutely annihilate our technical interview and then just not be weird.
Yeah. That's all that our stipulations are. Just...
Male or female.
That's all we care about.
Okay, this is a really good one, and I don't know if this is the same for devs as it is for product people. But as product people, there's a new thing that I've seen in the last probably 5 to 6 years where when we're interviewing, we get these big. I don't know why all these questions are about interviewing. This is just like what
All your listeners are unemployed.
I know. All my listeners are unemployed. Yes,
They have so much time to listen to a podcast.
that's why they listen. But we get, if you're interviewing for product management positions, a lot of time you get take-home assignments.
Uh-huh.
And they've gotten like more and more ridiculous, I've seen in the last 5 years. Like some of the take-home assignments are pretty hefty. And I mean, they could be a 40-hour assignment for, maybe that's just me being like type A, but like the last assignment I did for my last job, it was pretty big assignment, two-parter.
Did you get the job?
Yes, it's the job that I work with you now at.
Okay.
But I guess what amount of time is appropriate? What's the maximum amount of time that you should spend on a take-home assignment? And if the take-home assignment, is there like ever a red flag? Like how do you know if it's a red flag? Like they're just trying to get free consulting out of you, and
My red flag is, does it take 40 hours to do?
Yeah.
Yes. Red flag, 40 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I've only had to do one of these, and as a developer, and yeah, I feel like if they ask you to do something really specific, like really like oddly specific, that might be a red flag, especially if it's like a startup, right?
Yeah.
I've had to do one of these, and they left it open enough to where. Let me put it this way: if they leave it open, they're leaving it open to you to demonstrate how much you want the job, right? If they say make a website that has a database and an API and it does authentication
And it sells alpacas online.
Yes.
I think you mean alpacas.
Yeah.
See, then they're just that's too specific. They're trying to start an alpaca business, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to get a tax shelter out of you.
If you're trying to get a job for an alpaca startup, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Did they ask you to file a federal business ID with the IRS? But in that example, they left a very open framework, and I spent a weekend on it, and they offered me the job.
Nice.
But if they're doing something super specific, maybe even asking for a specific language could be suspect, right? Because if they're interviewing you, they know what languages you're good at.
Yeah.
They should I don't know, respect your generalized programming knowledge outside of a very specific lane.
Yeah.
40 hours is a lot.
It is a lot. And
especially because you had a job. It's not like you were like unemployed and had nothing to do.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, well, I went through many, many rounds of interviewing, but my rules for take-home assignments are watermark it and try not to submit anything as like a PDF or a Word document that can be circulated. I have put stuff up on my website and been like, hey, it's at this URL and only between 10 a.m. and noon on this date. That's all you get. I know they can screenshot it, but it's not as easy to like circulate it around.
Well, as a developer, if they actually try to use it, you can just like
that could be to your advantage.
do something absolutely horrifying to the code.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming they don't. I mean, let me put it this way: if you're a developer, keep it on your GitHub.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure they don't fork it and try to use it, right?
Yeah, I think it's harder as a product person. So, but for me, like presentations are okay, but the situations should be hypothetical.
A lot of times they will ask you to do something obliquely related to a problem that they're currently trying to solve.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe it's a UI company and they just absolutely hate their UI, and so they want to see what you can do in like a day.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't mean they're going to use it, but they want to see what you're thinking. Like today, for example, I interviewed someone and I didn't give him a technical interview where I literally had him do something that I didn't know how to do, but we worked on something that at the company we work at we deal with constantly, right? And that's normal and natural to do. But yeah, to implement the problem is when you're a full stack developer.
Yeah.
That's when you really get into dangerous territory because you may be asked to literally implement an entire working application that does things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the takeaway is make sure that you protect yourself so that if you're asked to do something very specific, which could be a red flag, to make sure that that can be, traced back to you, or not necessarily traced, but can be directly and not very difficultly associated with you.
And if they try to use your code, put horrifying Easter eggs in it.
Let's do one more. This is the last one. So this person says, and I've actually dealt with this too, so I can relate a lot to this question. I've been a product manager for about 2 years and recently moved companies, and my former position was very front-end focused, and my new position is very back-end focused. I'm not technical, meaning that they've never written code, they've never held a technical role.
Okay.
But in my new role, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with my lack of technical ability. Should I put in a lot of energy into learning code, or will this feeling pass? This is basically a case of imposter syndrome.
You don't need to. I don't think you need to learn code. What you should do, if you're working with a team that works on APIs in particular, you need to learn the REST standard immediately. You have to know that inside and out. It doesn't really have anything to do with code because it's not language specific.
Right.
But you need to understand front to back what a RESTful API means and how it's structured. If you understand that, you're going to be, first of all, you're going to be far ahead of a lot of back-end product managers that I've worked with in the past. But you're going to understand what people are talking about and why certain things are frowned upon and why certain things are encouraged and how the architecture is structured the way that it is. And basically, you're thinking in the same language as the developers without having to even know how to write, the first line of code.
Yeah.
So you need to have a general, more architectural view of what it is rather than very specific code base, because that is a rabbit hole right there.
Find your DevOps guy, sit him down, and just spend 15 minutes understanding how the applications that you're working on scale.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot about the challenges of your dev team also.
I would just sit down every single developer on your dev team and ask them questions. How does this work? How does that work? What are the problems we have? What's the tech debt look like? Just ask a ton of different questions. And your questions might sound or feel really dumb at first, but the more questions you ask, the less dumb they'll sound as time goes on.
Well, let me put it this way. Like, I think most developers don't. First of all, any developer that is not a complete a-hole is not going to balk at a question from a product manager. They're going to be happy to discuss it with you, if anything, because a product manager that's informed about what's happening behind the scenes is far easier to work with in the long run. And I mean, the last thing you want is to have to sit down and explain all this stuff during sprint planning.
Yes.
Sprint planning should be for the development team, not for product managers.
Product manager to learn how stuff works.
So that's
developers are super opinionated anyway, so they would love to give you their opinion.
They want to indoctrinate you into their way of thinking.
Their cults.
They want to tell you everything that's wrong, so that they can try to manipulate you into prioritizing their
refactoring
pet project.
Their tech debt, they want number one in the backlog. I would say the number one thing also is never pretend like you know something if you don't. It is better to ask, because the engineers will sniff you out in 10 seconds. This person doesn't know what they're talking about, and now they have an ego and think that they're
I always maintain 2 sets of documents for APIs that I'm in charge of. There's one whose audience is outside of our dev team, and there's one whose audience is inside the dev team. And if you as a product manager can't look at the documentation that is not meant for developers and understand at a basic level what's going on, that's probably not your fault. It's probably on the development manager to design some kind of topographical diagram that explains what the core components are, what the APIs are, and what the basic inputs and an API is just inputs and outputs.
Yeah.
And if there's not diagrams that articulate what those look like, that's not really on you. And I think it's a reasonable thing to ask if someone supplies that to you.
Just ask questions, especially if you're just starting a new job and it's your first week. Start right away. Do not wait. Just take every single developer on that team.
Nobody knows anything when they start a new job.
Yeah, schedule 30 minutes but the further along that you go without asking questions, people are going to start to wonder, why has this product manager been here for 90 days now and they still don't know anything? So you want to just get on it right away.
I respect someone not based on their knowledge, but based on what they want to know. So like, if I have a product manager who comes to me and wants to know what I want to do rather than just assuming, I respect them so much more because I feel like they're trying, right, to understand. Mm-hmm. And so that's the important thing that Kim pointed out was like, ask questions, because as a developer, I can say that I will respect you much more if you ask me rather than if you assume.
75% of product managers don't do it.
It's true.
They don't. And you may feel like you have a good working relationship with the dev team, but you kind of don't. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Like, the more questions you ask and the more involved you are, they don't have to be some technical guru, like, genius question. You're not trying to, like, I don't know, you don't need to impress the dev team with technical knowledge. That's not what it's about. It's far more about effort in some real basic stuff. Like, if you're an API product manager, you have to know the REST specification. You have to understand what it is.
Totally agree. And if, pro tip, if you help your dev team write or rewrite their API documentation, they will love you. Oh my God. Huge brownie points.
It's more about maintenance. Maintenance is far more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've just been working with updating hours. It's a big task.
I'm sorry.
I know. But again, the big brownie points.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right, that's all we have time for today. And we will see you next time.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kyle, for being on the pod. And I hope you enjoyed all of our somewhat expert advice.
I'm going to go buy an alpaca right now.
Yes!
We're going alpaca shopping. We have no more time.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Product Popcorn. You can subscribe to the podcast or leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. You can always read more at productpopcorn.com or follow us on Twitter at Product Popcorn.